Not cruel laughter, but the kind of confident, dismissive snickering that carried a message: no one here can make that shot. Not today, not ever. And that was when a quiet voice spoke from the back of the crowd. "I'll try." Every head turned. No one recognized her, not at first. Just a small, calm woman in a dusty field jacket, sleeves rolled up, hair tied back in a loose knot, hands tucked in her pockets as if she'd wandered onto the firing range by accident. But she hadn't, and by the time the sun dipped behind the ridge, they would all know exactly who she was. The quiet woman at the range. Forward Operating Base Hurst was carved into the rocky spine of the Hindu Kush, where the wind howled like an animal and the mountains swallowed sound. For 2 months, tensions had been rising. Local militias had acquired long-range rifles and were targeting convoys from nearly 4 kilometers out. It was an impossible distance, too far for most rifles, too far for most shooters. The belief around base was simple: you can't hit what you can't even see. That morning, the SEALs were training with a custom-built rifle meant to counter the threat, an experimental .408 caliber monster set up on a reinforced bipod. A spotting drone hovered several thousand meters out over the dusty valley floor, its feed showing a metal target the size of a dinner plate. The challenge was simple: 3,800 meters. 1 hit. 11 attempts had already cracked and whined through the air. 11 had failed. The SEAL who organized the challenge, a broad-shouldered senior chief named Murtaugh, laughed and slapped the rifle affectionately. "Any snipers left?" he shouted, smirking at the group. "Or are we done pretending?" The crowd chuckled, and then she stepped forward. "Who are you?" The laughter died. Murtaugh blinked. "Excuse me, I said I'll try." She didn't raise her voice. But something about her tone, quiet, steady, like steel beneath silk. "Name?" Murtaugh asked. She hesitated, then said softly, "Valerie Quinn." Someone in the back frowned. "Quinn, as in," but the rest of the sentence was swallowed as she moved past them, stepping toward the long rifle. She didn't look like a shooter. She looked like a librarian who'd taken a wrong turn. But when she knelt beside the gun, every unnecessary motion fell away. Her posture lowered, her breathing slowed, her hands, steady, delicate, glided across the weapon like she was greeting an old friend. Murtaugh raised a brow. "You ever fired one of these?" "No," she replied truthfully. "But I know what it needs." The weight of her past. For a moment, the world shrank, quiet, almost reverent, and Valerie felt the mountain air press against her skin. It had been years since she'd touched a rifle that mattered. Years since the accident. The same accident that had taken her spot on the world's most elite long-range team. The same accident that had taken her partner in the field, her older brother, Daniel. After that day, she had walked away. From competitions, from teams, from everything. She buried the rifle her brother had built her. Swore she'd never pick one up again. But 3 days earlier, a convoy near the base had been struck by a round fired from an unknown distant shooter. Valerie had been in the rear truck. The round had missed by inches. A soldier she'd been treating in the medical tent, a young Pakistani corporal, died from the blast that followed. She attended the funeral that night. Stood by the grave alone. And something inside her had woken. Not anger, not revenge, responsibility. "If I can end this threat, I have to." She had practiced silently at night, away from the others. Relearning the weight of a rifle. Relearning her breathing. Relearning who she used to be. And now, after 11 misses, she knew this was the moment. Not to impress them, to protect them. The shot begins. Valerie lay prone behind the rifle. The wind hummed. Dust devils spun lazily across the distant valley floor. The spotter drone relayed the live image onto a screen beside them, a white metal disc far, far away. Murtaugh knelt next to her. He still seemed amused. "You know you have to account for wind shear, valley drift, spin drift, temperature, elevation shift, earth curvature, and the Coriolis effect," she finished calmly. "I know." Some of the SEALs exchanged looks. She adjusted the scope, barely a millimeter, then adjusted again, then again. There was no rush in her movements. No anxiety, only a deliberate, patient certainty. Elevation 9 mils up, hold left, 3. She paused. "No, 2.8. Murtaugh raised his brows. No one had even noticed that the wind had dipped for half a second. No one except her. She inhaled. The base fell silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The 3,800-meter shot. One slow breath out. One final heartbeat. Valerie squeezed the trigger. The rifle thundered. The recoil slammed back, echoing across the valley like a small explosion. Everyone shifted their eyes to the drone feed. A tiny speck of metal. The bullet, arced gracefully across the screen, the faintest shimmer of speed against the vast pale desert. 3 seconds passed, then 4, then, clang. The target rocked. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, "No way." But Valerie wasn't finished. She chambered another round. Then another. 2 more shots cracked through the air. 2 more distant clangs sounded from the valley floor. 3 shots. 3 hits. 3,800 meters. The range erupted in stunned silence. The name they remember. Murtaugh stepped back as if he'd been struck. Who are you? This time, she didn't hesitate. Former Longshot Division, she said quietly. Record holder for extreme range precision. Daniel Quinn was my instructor. Murtaugh's jaw dropped. The team murmured. Every head bowed slightly. Everyone in long-range shooting circles knew the name Daniel Quinn. Few knew he had a sister. Even fewer knew she'd disappeared after his death. And now here she was. A quiet woman who hid what 11 elite operators could not. A lesson in courage. She stood, brushing dust from her sleeves. If you want, she said softly, I can train your men. We can end this threat together. Murtaugh stepped forward, no arrogance left in him, only respect. Ma'am, he said, straightening his posture, we would be honored. A few of the SEALs did more than that. They placed their hands over their hearts, a gesture rarely given to anyone outside their own. Valerie felt something warm rise in her chest, not pride, not vindication, peace. For the first time in years, she felt Daniel would have been proud. The message. Weeks later, after she helped the unit neutralize the long-range threat, Valerie received a new call sign. Still shot. Because no matter the distance, no matter the wind, no matter the past she carried, her heart stayed steady. And her lesson lingered long after she left the base.